If your team is still running daily stand-ups, you are wasting your time. Let me explain. So there are 3 core questions that the team typically answers during the stand-up. And those 3 are, what did you work on yesterday? What will you work on today? And are there any blockers or obstacles in your way? Those are the 3 core questions. And it really begs the question of, if we can represent these on a dashboard or within Jira somehow, and we could get these answers in the same way we would on a live call, do we still need the stand-up? And hint, the answer is no, you actually don't need the stand-up. And I'm not anti-meeting or anything. I think a weekly check-in is phenomenal, but I do think that daily stand-ups are excessive and not necessary when you're just answering these 3 questions. So before I dive in and actually show you what a good dashboard looks like and represents all of that data for you in one place, and exactly how to build it as well, I want to cover sort of the cost of the meetings that a lot of people don't quite realize. And we're going to keep things very realistic, team of 8, average cost per employee with salary, benefits, overhead, and everything else, roughly $75 an hour. And you could adjust these if you want to kind of calculate your own total meeting time and cost. And then stand-up length, 30 minutes per day. Some teams do 15 minutes. I've been part of a lot of teams, and even when there's 15 minutes blocked out, usually it borderlines on 30 or more. So I'm going to assume 30 for most teams, 22 workdays per month. That equates to $300 per meeting. So $300 per meeting. We're going to take that and do 22 days a month, $6,600 per month, and $79,200 per year. Nearly $80,000 per year to run just a basic stand-up that you may not even need. And this is just for one team of 8 people. If there's 3 teams of 24 people total, that's close to $250,000. And if there's 10 teams of nearly 80 people, that's right around $1 million a year. And 80 people is a lot of teams. A lot of organizations have 80 people within them, and a lot of those teams do run daily stand-ups. So that's just a quick cost analysis because a lot of teams don't realize that they're taking up so much time from their employees and they're still paying them for that time. So definitely something to think about. So let's go ahead and jump into how do we actually build those dashboards and answer the 3 core questions that our team gets asked every single time they're on that stand-up. So I'm going to jump into Jira. And before I actually go into this, I want to announce that our school community is live. And if you want specific courses, trainings, one-on-one trainings, answers in the community, a lot of other people that are very well-known in the space, and I partnered with Alex Ortiz to create this community, you can join, and we have early bird pricing before we hit 50 members, which we're very close to. We hit 34 within a couple of days, so by the time you're watching this, it may be gone. I will throw the link. It's going to be the first link in the description below. You could sign up for the community and get early bird pricing on this. We're keeping it very cheap and affordable, very value first. You can get your questions answered. We'll do a ton of courses, content, lives, Q&As to help you get better by using Jira, implementing things just like these dashboards. We'll show all of that in this Atlassian Everything School community. So make sure to check that out. So let's go back to our Jira project. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually start with the filters. And we actually don't really need dashboards to answer those 3 questions. I do like to use them though because they are a lot more visually appealing, and I like to have everything in one place versus several filters that I would need to look at. So I'll open up a new filtered search and I'll search for new work items. I'll go to the basic view. And I will note one thing with the dashboards, and that's that we are a little bit limited out of box within Jira. If you want a better experience and something way more in depth, I would highly recommend a plugin called Rich Filters. Or if you have any other dashboarding plugin, you could easily use those and plug these filters into those dashboards to make them visual. So really any dashboarding plugin works. There's a few decent-ish free ones. I don't really recommend any of them because they're really not that good. But if you are going with one, I would highly suggest Rich Filters. So I'm going to clear everything out. We have the default one within the last 30 days. And let's focus on solving or answering the first question of what did you work on yesterday? And this is obviously going to apply differently for every single user. So the first thing we could do is select a specific assignee, either current or another individual, and then we could go through and apply our other filters. I'm just going to say this is going to be me, for example, and I'll run this on myself to see how it works. And what we want to do next is make sure that we have a log or a full checklist and all the information on every single ticket in Jira, every single work item that was updated in the past day. So what we do is we go back here and we go to more filters, and what we're going to search for is updated. And we're going to find the updated. And this just means that the ticket was updated or work item was updated in any way, shape, or form. A comment was added, a field was changed, status transition, anything that was changed within that ticket, we're going to be able to pull in and see that happening within this list view. So I'm going to say updated within the last or in the range. I'll do that. And then you could do negative weeks, negative days, negative whatever, and then to a specific day. So I'll just say negative 1 day to, or I think negative 2 days to negative 1 day. That way we have the past day for this particular filter. And let's see if I have showing anything up for me, and I don't. So I'll just do the past 24 hours for myself because I did update things today for sure. So let's see here, to 1 day. And now we should have a couple of work items popping up. There we go. We got one here. So adjust this time frame to whatever you'd like. And if we're doing the previous day, you just do negative 1 day negative 2 days to negative 1 day. That'll give you the previous day's list, and you could see exactly what was updated and exactly by who's assigned to who the reporter was, all the details. You could even drill into the data by just clicking on the work item, clicking the history if you want even more details to see the exact actions that were taken on this work item. And as long as your team is good at keeping these up to date, which most teams generally are, and you have things that are moving through your sprints, your team is dropping comments occasionally, making those status transitions, moving things from backlog into your sprints, you should be able to pull this data in and have everything that you need. So I built out this filtered view, and it's going to show me everything for this assignee. The next step is just to create this and save this filter. So we click save, we name this Josh's work yesterday. And again, we don't technically need to apply this, if I could spell yesterday, there we go. We don't technically need to apply this to a dashboard, but again, I do like it, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. So viewers, I'm gonna make sure that, let's just say my entire organization could view it. If we don't set up the right viewership, no one's gonna be able to access this or see the dashboard, so make sure you keep that in mind. So now that we have this Josh's work yesterday, we could go through and create a brand new dashboard. We do that by going to our dashboards tab, and let me just close all of these and create a brand new dashboard by clicking the plus icon. And I'll just name this engineering team's work. We'll pretend that this is an engineering team. Again, available to my organization or a specific project or even specific users. And we have a couple of gadgets here that we can use to visualize our data that we're storing inside of a filter. The first one is a filtered view, and I could do that by just searching for filter, and we'll pull in a filter result. And I'll find Josh's work, which is what I just created. I will limit this to 15. And then I'll add the columns that I want to display here. I'll leave these out of box, but you could customize these to however you want. And I'm gonna select to auto refresh. That way I could have this up whenever I'd like, and it's just gonna auto refresh the data. I don't have to sit there and refresh the screen every single time. So I click save, and now my filter shows up directly in my dashboard. And now we could set up Josh's work yesterday, Tom's work yesterday, Bob's work yesterday, and represent it all in one single place. So that's pretty much it. The next thing we could do is add like different filters, different visualizations like pie charts, bar charts, and whatever else you'd like. We are a little bit limited with out-of-box things. That is why I suggest rich filters. Rich filters can give you all the reporting capabilities you could ever want within Jira. So within here, I'll set up a pie chart to bring up a filter of, let's just say, I think there's one for engineering support. And then we could sort this by assignee. Again, I'll add the auto update. And now we have all of the tickets that are currently within a specific filter represented by assignee. So this gives us instant data with a visualization of like who has how much work items. We could see that Mitch has the most, Adam has some, Alana has some, and they each have one. But this sort of gives you a breakdown in visual distribution, which in all honesty is probably better than doing a daily stand-up. So this is a really great way to actually see how work is happening, what's happening. You could break this down by priority, by due date, by anything else that you'd like. So the out-of-box pie chart is fantastic. That's the one I use by far the most. So definitely check that one out. So now that we've covered what did you do yesterday, let's cover what will you work on today. I'm gonna grab a sip of water. And let's go ahead and jump into that. So let's open up the filter once again. And what will you work on today is a little bit different, but we're going to start out the same by selecting the current user. And what we're going to do is, let's say the current user is assigned to something that is due today. So I'll pull up the more filters. I'll find due. And there's a couple of ways to do this, to be honest. Due date is one of them. I think the better way that I would actually approach this is just by priority, but due date is an option, and you could say either overdue or, sometime in the next couple of days. That's when those are the highest priority or most closely to be completed things. So due date is one of those options. The other option is to filter by priority. And this actually might be the best option, because I could go in here, pull in the current assignee, and then I could sort by the priority. And anything that shows up at the top, I know should be done next by this user. Not only that, I could sort of then give instruction and just go in here and change these priorities to be lower, medium, high, or whatever it is, to make sure that this particular user stays on track by looking at Jira and knowing exactly what priority needs to be taken care of next. So super easy and simple way of doing this is either by priority or due date. If you use a ton of due dates, you could use that. If you use a lot of priorities or even SLAs, you can use those. So that's the next option. You could go ahead and save this filter, apply this to your dashboard. And last but not least is, are there any blockers? And the only contingency here is that you need to make sure that there is a blocker field within your space, a blocker status. And for the most part, there usually are. If you don't have a blocker or like an on hold or on pending, all you need to do is go to your space, add it into your workflow, and you're good to go. And all we need to do in this scenario is go to the current user. We'll also add in a status category of in progress. That way nothing backlog or completed shows up. And the last thing we'll do here is we will add a specific status of blocked. I don't have blocked in here any assigned to me, but I will say in progress as an example. But there are blocked options, and you could easily use those. I'm going to use in progress because I'm actually assigned to those, and I can represent that data better. So in progress, and boom, we immediately have a filtered list of things that I might be blocked on. You just want to make sure that the status category is in progress. Otherwise, you might be bringing things in that are not super relevant. So that's pretty much it. You set up these filters, you set up your dashboard, you start to visualize things, and once you visualize them, you could pretty much kill your entire daily stand-up. I do this with a lot of teams, and I've set this up with a lot of teams and a lot of clients in the past. None of them really miss it. The daily stand-ups, that is. We even used to do this internally where we ran daily stand-ups every single morning as a team at grid.io. And because of these reports, because of the way that we manage things in Jira, we actually don't do them anymore whatsoever. So hopefully this helps you out and kind of gives you some ideas on how to set this up. If you're interested in sort of rich filters and how I do that in there, because it is a little bit different, let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to check out the school community where there's a ton more training, lessons, and a whole bunch of other things located here.